Steve Jobs famously asserted that design is not just what it looks like, design is how it works. This mantra elevates function over superficial aesthetics. However, its effectiveness is limited by the assumption that working is a single, universally understood condition. In practice, the same created artifact generates completely different diagnostic data depending on who is evaluating it. This study identifies 4 primary frameworks used to evaluate design: the designer, engineer, executive, and educator. Modern product development is defined by the friction between these roles. Each quadrant optimizes a different set of metrics, often pulling the product in divergent directions. Reconciling these competing definitions provides the structural foundation necessary for a system to survive its own development cycle. For the designer, functionality is defined through the lens of human-centered user experience. They evaluate a product based on empathy and interaction. Consider a commercial coffee machine. The designer is unconcerned with the complexity of the internal boiler system. Their focus is the interface. For them, how it works is determined by how easily a person can select a beverage. This perspective relies on user-centered design, ensuring that interfaces are explicitly shaped by the user's core needs. This dashboard tracks qualitative criteria, measuring effectiveness, efficiency, learnability, and accessibility. The objective is to minimize the cognitive load required to operate the system. Designers capture these metrics through direct observation and task-based usability testing, tracking concrete data like success rates and time on task. They also use established principles, like Jacob Nielsen's heuristics, as a preemptive checklist to identify usability problems before starting agile testing cycles. In this framework, the designer acts as the user's advocate. They prevent technical complexity from becoming an end in itself by prioritizing intuitive, graceful interaction over binary technical correctness. The engineer operates under a different mandate. For them, how it works refers to the internal architecture, behavior under load, and the long-term viability of the system. This represents a shift from qualitative user perception to quantitative, objective measurement. Engineers evaluate the system through non-functional requirements. They prioritize reliability, performance efficiency, security, and scalability. This structure follows the ISO IEC 2510 standard. It provides a formalized vocabulary for measuring these quality characteristics from a technical standpoint. This perspective requires concurrent engineering, allowing the team to make design choices that simplify future maintainability and help predict potential failure modes. The evaluation process is rigorous and often automated, utilizing verification and validation, routine performance benchmarking, and proactive chaos engineering to thoroughly test system resilience. This creates a necessary safeguard. A perfectly intuitive interface is useless if the underlying system crashes under moderate load. In the corporate boardroom, the definition of how it works is decoupled from mechanics or aesthetics. It is measured by tangible business outcomes. Executives use design as a strategic lever for competitive advantage, evaluating it based on its capacity to drive corporate strategy. This dashboard tracks metrics like revenue growth and market share. McKinsey notes companies prioritizing design generate over 3 times higher ROI over 5 years. Executive evaluation is retrospective. They analyze ROI case studies and monitor KPI shifts to determine if design investments yield strategic returns. This viewpoint introduces strategic design, applying traditional design principles to optimize the organization's own operating model and innovative capabilities. The leadership challenge lies in translation, converting qualitative user satisfaction and quantitative technical robustness into the universal language of finance and risk management. In the educational context, the commercial success of the artifact is secondary to the development of the student's mind and skill set. For educators, how it works describes both the subject matter being taught and the pedagogical approach used to facilitate that learning. This flowchart tracks developmental criteria. Success means a student can apply design principles, iterate on feedback, and document their process. Accreditation bodies like NASAD set standards for this, focusing on cognitive inquiry and the student's ability to defend their design rationale. Educators also leverage comparative models and new technologies to evaluate the effectiveness of their own teaching methodologies. This pedagogical framework cultivates the specific interdisciplinary translation skills the future workforce needs to navigate the other three domains. Comparing these four lenses reveals that how it works is a composite metric. A successful product must balance user satisfaction and technical integrity with financial strategy and the developmental skills of the teams building it. In practice, a fluid, adaptive user experience often requires immense engineering complexity, while a highly robust, rigid architecture can stifle intuitive interaction. Navigating these tensions requires cross-functional translation, using integrated methodologies like Agile to ensure the designer's vision remains technically and financially viable. Successful design emerges from this synthesis. The four quadrants must collapse into a single alignment, where user experience, system stability, and market value are all accounted for. This chart of academic references shows the breadth of research required to bridge these worlds, linking engineering systems to UX design and corporate value reports. Design is how it works is not a definition to be owned by a single department. Instead, it is a multifaceted negotiation that requires shared evaluation criteria established at the very start of a project.